Stress is one of the most common struggles in our modern lives. Deadlines, relationships, responsibilities, and even constant digital noise leave us feeling overwhelmed, anxious, and emotionally drained. Many of us try to power through stress, but that only makes it worse. What if I told you that a simple metaphor involving a glass of water can completely change the way you handle stress and bring calm into your life? Today, we're going to explore how understanding the glass of water lesson can help you manage stress effectively. By the end of this video, you will understand why stress builds up, how small actions can prevent it from overflowing, and what steps you can take to remain calm, focused, and resilient in life. The first lesson from the glass of water is that stress accumulates gradually, often without us realizing it. Imagine a glass sitting on a table. If you pour water into it drop by drop, nothing seems to happen at first. The glass can hold a surprising amount and you feel fine. But eventually, the water level rises, and if you keep adding drops without pause, it will overflow, spilling everywhere. This is exactly how stress works in our lives. Stress rarely hits us all at once. Most of the time, it builds silently through small challenges, unresolved issues, unspoken emotions, and neglected responsibilities. A minor annoyance at work, an argument with a friend, a missed deadline, or even a small worry can feel insignificant alone, but when they accumulate over days and weeks, the pressure grows until it feels unbearable. Just like a glass filling with water, our minds and hearts have a finite capacity to hold tension. One of the reasons stress becomes overwhelming is that we rarely pause to notice the the level of water in our glass. We ignore subtle warning signs: irritability, fatigue, restless thoughts, or emotional sensitivity. Like ignoring the rising water in the glass, we fail to take action early. By the time we realize we are stressed, the overflow has already occurred, manifesting as anxiety, frustration, or even physical symptoms like headaches and sleeplessness. Understanding this principle helps us become aware of how our energy, emotions, and mental state respond to stress. Awareness is the first step toward management. Just as you wouldn't leave a glass on a table overflowing with water, you shouldn't leave your mind or heart to overflowing with stress. Recognizing that stress accumulates gradually allows you to take preventive measures before it becomes unmanageable. Another lesson of the glass is perspective. Each drop by itself seems minor. A single worry, one minor setback, or a fleeting irritation does not feel threatening, but the cumulative effect matters. By treating each small drop as important, you develop sensitivity to your emotional and mental state, noticing when the level is rising and taking action early. The glass metaphor also teaches patience and observation. You learn to pause and check the water level before adding more. Similarly, monitoring your stress requires self awareness, reflection, and honesty with yourself. Requires self awareness, reflection, and honesty with yourself. By observing your feelings, identifying small stressors, and acknowledging them, you prevent the overwhelming accumulation that leads to overflow. Finally, understanding the glass encourages respect for limits. Just as a glass has a finite capacity, so do our minds, bodies, and hearts. Accepting this truth is not weakness. It accepting this truth is not weakness. it is wisdom. It allows you to manage stress effectively, make conscious choices about your energy, and take responsibility for your well being. When you internalize this lesson, you begin to see stress not as an uncontrollable force, but as something that can be monitored, managed, and reduced. You stop ignoring the rising water in your glass and start taking deliberate steps to maintain balance, calm, and resilience in life. The second lesson from the glass of water is that small actions taken consistently prevent stress from overflowing. Just as a few drops of water may seem insignificant at first, the tiny pressures, worries, and tensions of daily life can accumulate quietly. But the good news is that small interventions can prevent the overflow, restoring balance before stress becomes overwhelming. In life, we often wait until the water has spilled, until anxiety, anger, or exhaustion hits before we take action. This is like ignoring a gradually filling glass, only noticing it when it's too late. The most effective approach, however, is to address the small drops early. A short break, a deep breath, a walk, or a moment of reflection may seem trivial in isolation, but these small practices act like removing a drop before it causes the glass to overflow. Awareness is the key to noticing the drops. Pay attention to your emotions, your energy, and your reactions to minor stresses. A fleeting irritation with a colleague, a brief worry about a deadline, or even a small negative thought is a drop entering your glass. Instead of dismissing it, acknowledge it. Awareness allows you to take timely action, preventing the accumulation from becoming destructive. Daily habits play a powerful role in handling small drops. Simple practices such as meditation, journaling, gratitude, exercise, or mindfulness act like preventive drains in your glass. They help release tension, calm the mind, and restore emotional equilibrium. When done consistently, these small actions prevent stress from reaching the point of overflow and create a foundation of resilience. Another important aspect is perspective, recognizing that each minor stressor is temporary and manageable, allows you to respond rather than react. Just as you wouldn't panic at a few drops of water, you don't need to overreact to small problems. You don't need to overreact to small problems. Calm awareness and measured action ensure that stress remains contained, manageable, and less intimidating. Setting priorities also helps manage small drops effectively. Not every worry or task requires equal attention. By identifying what truly matters and letting go of minor concerns, you reduce the number of drops entering your glass. This selective attention preserves energy, maintains focus, and prevents unnecessary stress accumulation. Emotional regulation is another preventive measure. When small irritations or frustrations arise, respond with patience and composure. Reacting impulsively amplifies the stress, adding more weight to your glass. By practicing self control, empathy, and understanding, you reduce the impact of daily pressures, keeping your glass from spilling. Finally, the lesson of small drops teaches empowerment. You realize that stress is not an unstoppable force. It is influenced by your awareness, choices, and actions. By taking small, consistent steps every day, you maintain control over your energy and emotions. Each drop handled today prevents tomorrow's overflow, creating a sustainable rhythm of calm and resilience. When you internalize this lesson, you begin to see stress as manageable. You don't wait for crises to take action. Instead, you actively engage in small practices, handle minor pressures thoughtfully, and create a life where your glass remains balanced, calm, and overselling balloons on the street and overflowing with peace rather than tension. The third lesson from the glass of water is that not every drop belongs in your glass. Some pressures and worries are beyond your control, yet we often carry them, adding unnecessary weight to our stress levels. Learning to let go of what you cannot control is one of the most powerful ways to prevent your glass from overflowing empty. Oh, cultivate lasting peace. Life is full of circumstances, events, and other people's actions that we cannot change, Traffic jams, mistakes by colleagues, economic fluctuations, or even the opinions of others. These are all drops that, if carried in your glass, increase stress without contributing to solutions. Holding on to them is like adding water that doesn't belong, gradually filling your glass until it spills. The first step is awareness. Recognize which worries are within your sphere of influence and which are not. This requires honesty and reflection. If a situation is beyond your control, carrying the associated stress is pointless. By letting go of what you cannot change, you free up mental and emotional space to focus on what truly matters and where you can make a difference. Letting go also requires a shift in mindset. Often we confuse concern with responsibility, believing that if we worry, we are doing our best. But excessive worry over uncontrollable events does not solve problems. It only drains energy and creates anxiety. Understanding that your energy has limits and that it should be reserved for actionable efforts is key to maintaining balance, is key to forgiveness both for yourself and others. Another aspect is forgiveness both for yourself and others. Many of the drops we carry are old regrets, grudges, or disappointments. Holding on to these adds weight to your glass without offering benefit. By practicing forgiveness, you release these unnecessary burdens, allowing your emotional and mental energy to flow freely rather than stagnate. Focus on your response rather than the problem itself. You may not control what happens, but you control how you react. Your reactions determine whether stress escalates or dissipates. By responding with calm, clarity, and composure, you neutralize the impact of events that could otherwise overwhelm your glass. Letting go also enhances resilience. The more you practice releasing what is beyond your control, the less reactive you become to life's unpredictability. Your mind stays calm, your energy is preserved, and your capacity to handle genuine challenges increases. Stress becomes something you manage, not something that manages you. Practical ways to let go include reflection, journaling, meditation, and breathing exercises. Regularly examine the sources of your stress and ask yourself, is this within my control? If not, consciously release it. Visualize placing those unnecessary drops aside, emptying your glass of what you don't need to carry. This mental exercise trains your mind to focus on actionable and meaningful concerns. Ultimately, the lesson is about intentionality. Every drop in your glass should serve a purpose. By letting go of what you cannot influence, you reduce the unnecessary weight on your mental, emotional, and physical well being. You protect your energy, maintain clarity, and create space for joy, focus, and meaningful action. When this principle becomes a habit, you stop feeling constantly overwhelmed. Your glass stays balanced, your mind stays calm, and your life is no longer dominated by worries you cannot change. Instead, you channel your energy into what matters most, live in with purpose, clarity, and inner peace. The fourth lesson from the glass of water is that maintaining balance is a daily practice. Stress is not a one time event, it accumulates quietly over time. Just as a glass slowly fills with water drop by drop, our mental, emotional, and physical energy can fill up with tension if we do not actively manage it. Sustainable stress management requires consistent habits that keep the glass balanced and prevent overflow. One of the most effective practices is mindfulness. Being present in each moment allows you to notice the drops of stress as they arrive rather than letting them accumulate unnoticed. Simple mindfulness exercises, such as deep breathing, meditation, or mindful observation of your surroundings, act like constant monitoring for your glass. They alert you to rising levels of tension, giving you the opportunity to release it before it spills. Another key practice is reflection. Daily reflection, whether through journaling, quiet contemplation, or talking with a trusted friend, helps you process thoughts and emotions. Writing down your worries or reflecting on your day acts like pouring out some of the water from your glass. It prevents mental clutter from piling up and provides clarity on what truly matters. Physical well being is equally critical. Adequate sleep, balanced nutrition, and regular exercise are like the structural supports of your glass. They increase your capacity to handle stress and prevent exhaustion from weakening your resilience. Just as a fragile glass cracks under pressure, neglecting your body makes you more susceptible to stress, emotional overwhelm, and burnout. Boundaries are another essential practice. Protecting your energy means saying no when necessary, limiting exposure to negativity, and prioritizing activities that nourish rather than deplete you. Each boundary you establish keeps you. Unnecessary drops from entering your glass, ensuring that your energy remains available for what truly matters. Time management also plays a role. Structuring your day intentionally allows you to allocate energy to high priority tasks while leaving space for rest and rejuvenation. Overcommitting or rushing from one task to another is like pouring water too quickly into the glass, increasing the risk of overflow. By pacing yourself, you maintain balance and efficiency. Gratitude and positive focus are powerful ways to manage stress as well. Each day, take time to acknowledge small joys, accomplishments, and sources of support. Gratitude acts like a gentle release valve, shifting focus from the weight of stress to the abundance of life and keeping your mental glass lighter and more manageable. Finally, sustainable stress management is about consistency. One day of mindfulness or reflection is helpful, but long term balance comes from embedding these habits into your daily life. When self care, boundaries, reflection, and intentional focus become part of your reflection and stress becomes manageable, become, become part of your routine. Your glass stays balanced naturally, and stress becomes manageable rather than overwhelming. By practicing these habits consistently, you create a resilient life where stress is acknowledged, managed, and released in healthy ways. Your energy remains preserved, your mind remains calm, and your life becomes a source of clarity, purpose, and joy rather than tension, anxiety, or frustration. Stress is an inevitable part of life, but how we respond to it determines whether it controls us or we control it. The glass of water teaches us that stress accumulates gradually. Small actions matter. Letting go of what we cannot control is essential, and daily practices keep our energy balanced. By recognizing the rising water in your glass, handling small drops proactively, releasing unnecessary weight, and maintaining sustainable habits, you create a life where stress is managed rather than overwhelming. You gain clarity, resilience, and the freedom to focus on what truly matters. Remember, your energy is precious. Protect it, monitor it, and invest it wisely. When you apply the lessons of the glass, you stop being at the mercy of you stop being at the mercy of life's pressures and start living with calm, focus, and intentionality. Your glass stays balanced, your mind stays clear, and your life becomes a source of peace, joy, and fulfillment